Hello everyone and welcome to Tariq. Today is the 478th birth anniversary of the third Mughal emperor Jalaluddin Muhammad Akbar. और आज के इस एपिसोड में we will be telling you about Akbar's religious policies.
अकबर एक ऐसे मुग़ल बादशाह है जिनके बारे में कांस्टेंट डिस्कशंस एंड डिबेट्स रहती हैं. ही इज़ समबडी हु कैप्चर्स अ लॉट ऑफ अटेंशन थ्रू आउट हिस्ट्री. मतलब जब भी किसी भी चीज़ की बात होती है तो अकबर की बात मतलब ज़रूर होती है. पीपल ऑफन यूज़ हिज एग्जाम्पल एज द ग्रेटेस्ट एम्परर इन इंडिया. एंड इवन ड्यूरिंग इंडिपेंडेंस देयर वाज दिस कॉल टू गो बैक टू द टाइम्स ऑफ अशोक एंड अकबर. So the reason why Akbar has a lot more popularity as opposed to his predecessors and his successors, a bunch of things, but the foremost of them is his religious policy. Akbar के जो religious views हैं and उनके जो religious ideologies हैं, that evolved over a period of time, and what it culminated in was the formation of the Deen-e-Ilahi. Deen-e-Ilahi stands for divine monotheism, and this ushered in an era of religious tolerance and secularism. Now, secularism is a term that you use in the present context as a democracy, but this is a thought that originated during the time of Akbar, and that is something that is remarkable in itself. He wanted to establish cordial relations between the general public and the ruling elite. Now, the ruling elite was mostly Muslim, and the people that they governed over were Hindus. And for a state to function seamlessly, he thought that it is better for the public to be integrated with the royalty, for the thought process to be integrated. And this is something that he really cherished. He wanted to मतलब उस टाइम पे अगर आप नेशनल इंटीग्रेशन की बात करते हैं तो अकबर इज़ अ प्राइम एग्जाम्पल. अकबर की जो थॉट प्रोसेस है, हिज टॉलरेंस एंड हिज सेक्युलर आउटलुक इन लाइफ, दैट कैन बी क्रेडिटेड टू हिज पेरेंटल हेरिटेज एंड हिज सोशल अपब्रिंगिंग. नाउ नॉट टू एग्जैजरेट टू मच कि मतलब इतना वो था, बट इट इज़ अ फैक्ट दैट हुमायूं, अकबर्स फादर, वाज अ सुन्नी, एंड हिज मदर हमीदा बानो बेगम वाज द डॉटर ऑफ ए वेरी प्रोमिनेंट शिया स्कॉलर मीर बाबा दोस्त. नाउ इट इज़ ऑल्सो अ फैक्ट दैट when Akbar was born in 1542, it was in the household of a Hindu chief, that of Rana Virsal or Virasal in Umarkot, which is now in present day Sindh. And throughout his childhood, he was associated with the Rajputs, leading up to his marriage to his first Rajput princess in 1562.
जब हम अकबर के अर्ली चाइल्डहुड को देखते हैं तो उनके जो टीचर्स थे, गाइड्स थे, दे ऑल वर वेरी अनऑर्थोडॉक्स. अब्दुल Latif जो थे, he was a Shia scholar, he was a noble tutor, he was really liberal and unorthodox, and he kind of introduced Akbar to the concept of Sulh-e-Kul, which means peace and brotherhood. And Akbar used this principle of Sulh-e-Kul whenever he dealt with his subjects. साथ ही साथ में मुल्ला पीर मोहम्मद भी थे, उनके एक ट्यूटर थे. ही टू वॉज वेरी लिबरल इन हिज आउटलुक एंड वेरी अनऑर्थोडॉक्स. फर्दर अकबर वॉज influenced by the doctrine of Sufism. Also, he had close association with the Chishti Sufi called Salim Chishti. He also came in contact with Sheikh Mubarak and his two sons Abul Fazl and Faizi. और साथ ही साथ में उनका इन्फ्लुएंस, जो लिबरल इन्फ्लुएंस था, वो भी बहुत अकबर पे बहुत स्ट्रॉन्ग था. ही वॉज ऑल्सो ग्रेटली इन्फ्लुएंस्ड बाय इब्न अल अरबी, हु वॉज अ पोएट, अ फिलोसोफर. ही वॉज वेरी लिबरल इन हिज आउटलुक. तो ये सब चीज़ें अकबर को इन्फ्लुएंस करती गई. बहुत मतलब इट वॉज वेरी रेयर कि अकबर वुड शो रिलीजियस फैनेटिसिज्म, बिकॉज उनका जो एनवायरनमेंट था वो इतना अनऑर्थोडॉक्स था, इतना लिबरल था. बैरम खान जो थे वो अकबर के अतालिक थे, जो ही वॉज रीजेंट. ऑल्सो ही वॉज अकबर वुड कॉल हिम खान बाबा. उनका भी ज़्यादा इन्फ्लुएंस अकबर पे आ नहीं पाया व्हेन एवर इट कम्स टू हिज हाउ ही ट्रीटेड हिज सब्जेक्ट्स. और इंडिया का जो हम सोशल और कल्चरल एस्पेक्ट देखेंगे, ऑलरेडी वो सिंथेसिस जो था वो ऑलरेडी एस्टैब्लिश हो चुका था बिफोर द मुगल्स केम टू इंडिया. भक्ति मूवमेंट भी उससे पहले शुरू हो चुकी थी, वो भी इस्टेब्लिश हो चुकी थी. तो अकबर की हेरिडिटी और साथ ही साथ जो ऑलरेडी इंडिया में प्रेवलेंट जो लिबरल एटमोसफेयर,
द सोशल
एटमोसफेयर था और जो कल्चरल एटमोसफेयर था, उन दोनों ने कहीं ना कहीं अकबर की जो रिलीजियस पॉलिसी है उसकी फॉर्मेशन में हेल्प की। दो अकबर कभी भी रिलीजियस फैनाटिसिज्म नहीं दिखाते थे, बट ड्यूरिंग द इनिशियल टाइम्स ही वॉज गॉड फेयरिंग, ही हैड अ रिलीजियस आउटलुक, और साथ ही साथ में ही वुड ऑब्जर्व इस्लामिक precepts also in the early youth. ये बदाऊनी कहते हैं। बदाऊनी was the first mufti of India, and he was also a part of Akbar's court, and he had written history about Akbar also. जैसे अबुल फजल ने आइन अकबर लिखी, वैसे ही बदाऊनी ने भी हिस्टोरियोग्राफी लिखी थी। बट अकबर ही नहीं थे जो इतने सेक्युलर थे। जब हम पीछे थोड़ा मुड़ के देखें और हम लोग सल्तनत के टाइम पे आएँ तो अलाउद्दीन खिलजी भी थे। ही वॉज द फर्स्ट रूलर हु नेवर मिक्सड religion with the state, religion with politics of India. So he had completely kept the religion away from politics whenever he dealt with the subjects. But सिर्फ हम अलाउद्दीन खिलजी को ही इस चीज़ का importance नहीं देंगे. We have Muhammad bin Tughlaq also, where he saw India as a single political entity. Muhammad bin Tughlaq also, he practiced religious toleration. He was very secular in his outlook. People who belonged to the lower strata were given important offices in his court. और साथ ही साथ जो promotions दी जाती थी वो merit के basis पे दी जाती थी, ना कि किसी के religion के basis पे। वैसे ही मोहम्मद बिन तुगलक के जो कज़न थे फिरोज शाह तुगलक, ही वॉज द नेक्स्ट रूलर आफ्टर मोहम्मद बिन तुगलक. ही ऑल्सो सॉ इंडिया एज अ single political entity, and he again he did so much for his empire, and he did so much for his subjects, irrespective of कि वो हिंदुओं के लिए कर रहे हैं, कि वो मुस्लिम्स के लिए कर रहे हैं, और किसी और सेक्ट के लिए कर रहे हैं. Everybody benefited from what he did for his subjects.
It was under Akbar that something as for lack of a better word, for something as basic as religious tolerance grew to the status of secularism. It was very important for him to make that his policy when he was dealing with the general public, because he understood early on कि वो जो एक certain divide था between the ruling elite and the general public, that would not lead his empire to success. So he did everything to break that barrier, and within his court there was no space for irrationality or racialism or regionalism and any sort of intolerance. एक तरफ से आप कह सकते हैं that this was politically motivated, but even so he really tried hard to propagate this message of love and harmony and tolerance and brotherhood amongst his people, his court, and the people that he was ruling over. And it is also true, जैसे हमने अभी थोड़ी देर पहले देखा कि जो इंडिया का जो सोशियो कल्चरल एटमोसफेयर था with the Sufism coming in and the Bhakti movement at its height, that also influenced Akbar a great deal, and that is something that he adopted when he was dealing with the people in his court and also the public
in general.
Among the first actions that he took as an emperor when he had power in his hands completely was that he banned the practice of converting the prisoners of war to Islam. This he did around 1562, and इसी time पे he also abolished the pilgrimage tax that Hindus had to pay. This was particularly in religious hotspots like Prayag and Banaras. He also discontinued the practice of slaughtering cows. He also abolished the practice of sati, and he legalized widow remarriage. Akbar granted religious freedom to all his subjects, and this he did in part by abolishing jizya, which was a tax that non-Muslims had to pay in an Islamic state. This wasn't just the case in India. In any Islamic state from Central Asia to wherever the Islamic state was, they had the non-Muslims had to pay a tax. So whether it be Christians or Jews, or in our case Hindus, they paid a certain tax to the state, and this was abolished by Akbar. Now this move was heavily criticized by the ulama and certain members of Akbar's court, because this also affected the tax and the money that the state would make. But regardless, Akbar stood his ground, and this laid the foundation for an egalitarian state wherein the people would not be judged or discriminated upon based on their religious practices and beliefs. Now, Sheikh Mubarak, who met Akbar around 1573, and his sons Abul Fazl and Abul Faizi, who met Akbar the following year in 1574, they had a great influence on Akbar's thinking, because they themselves were proponents of the nation state, like the idea of a nation state for India. Now, it is worth mentioning that Akbar abolished jizya and propagated religious freedom and tolerance way before he met these three men.
From the very beginning, Akbar was very interested in religion and philosophy. So 1575 में Akbar ने इबादत खाना, he got इबादत खाना erected, which was, a lot of people say that it was the prayer hall, but it was actually used for religious discussions. So people, especially in the early phase, Muslim mullahs were invited there for religious discussions every Thursday night. But jab these mullahs, they came to discuss religion, they behaved in a very very idiotic manner, because they wrangled and shouted at each other, proving कि मुझे ज़्यादा पता है, तुमसे ज़्यादा पता है. So they also started abusing each other. This disgusted Akbar, and he got so disgusted that he stopped having discussions with them, and this alienated Akbar from them even more. फिर क्या हुआ कि अकबर ने अपने इबादत खाने को जो doors थे, he opened them for people who belong to various faiths, for religious debates and discussions. So people who belong to Zoroastrianism, they came, Hinduism, Christianity, even atheists were a part of the Ibadat Khana, and they discussed about religion. And because Akbar ka dimag itna receptive tha, he had this thirst to know more about God, about faith, about various philosophies. Though he never subscribed to any one single faith or religion. His inquisitive mind, it resented all sorts of sectarianism and fanaticism, because he deeply believed in the concept of brotherhood and people and peace. कि तो वो जब भी कोई भी इंसान फैनेटिक होता था या not very secular होते थे, तो he would not agree with his thought process, agree with his irrationality. According to historian इक़्तिदार आलम खान, वो कहते हैं कि जो अकबर की जो अकबर की राजपूत पॉलिसी है और जो पॉलिटिकल पॉलिसी है, वो दोनों एक ही हैं. But a lot of historians have refuted and countered this argument, saying कि when Akbar married his first Rajput wife in 1562 and he abolished jizya in 1563, तो उनकी जो राजपूत पॉलिसी और द इन्फ्लुएंस ऑफ राजपूत इतना स्ट्रॉन्ग नहीं था, वो बिकॉज वो उन्होंने अपने आप ही फाउंड जिज़िया टू बी नॉट टू बी अनफेयर, बिकॉज ही वांटेड his empire to be successful in a place where he was ruling people who were hardly Muslims, So because of that, he abolished jizya. And he believed that this is the way to gain confidence of people who belong to different faiths. Akbar was influenced by Rajputs, but that was mostly in the later part and also in the initial stage of क्योंकि पैदा वहाँ हुए थे. But he was also deeply influenced by the Persian concepts and Persian monarchy. He was deeply influenced by the Persian concept of kingship, where the king is the supreme power over his subjects. So he wanted similar status, that I am supreme, I am superior, because initially क्या होता था कि people, the ministers who are part, and also because they belong to the family of Chengizis and Mughal families, they would also interfere in the when it comes to ruling a place, and when it comes to rule. He never wanted that, क्योंकि initially Bairam Khan जो उनके अतालिक थे, he tried to influence him or try to interfere. तो उनकी डेथ के बाद he wanted that he should be the supreme power, he should rule his kingdom the way he wanted to rule. Historian Vincent Smith, he was in the 1800s, he also said that Akbar had adopted various Hindu practices like Tuladan and Jharoka Darshan, जो सुबह 6 बजे के करीब होता था, where he would sit in a place and वो झरोका बना था, and he would look at his आवाम. ये कुछ कुछ traditions थी जो अकबर ने अडॉप्ट की थी. And somewhere Vincent Smith does not understand Akbar's mind, and he just for no reason calls Akbar a shameless hypocrite.
तो जैसा कि हमने देखा कि अकबर वॉज वेरी प्रोएक्टिव इन taking out differences between the Islamic State and the people that they governed. And one way for him to do that was to give charitable lands, Madad-e-Mash, which was previously open only to Islamic institutions, but then he opened it to everybody. So Hindus and Jains and whoever needed it, the Madad-e-Mash were to be declared to them. But one of his chief sardars, Mullah Abdul Nabi, he was very tyrannical and corrupt. Now, in particular, he was very tyrannical and oppressive towards Shias and the Brahmins of Mathura. Now, inquiry was conducted against him, and when Akbar found out his true intentions and what he was doing, he was quickly dismissed and he was sent to Hajj. Now that was a polite way of dismissing a senior court official during that time. But this was opposed by a number of qazis at the time, and they took out fatwas declaring Akbar to be a heretic. But Akbar was successful in quelling the rebellion early on, and he punished all the qazis that were indulging in this rebellion of sorts. Now, to further strengthen his position against the mullahs and the qazis, Akbar took out a mehzarnama. Like he put out a declaration or a petition. He even removed the chief preacher from the mosque at Fatehpur Sikri and planted himself at that position. This mehzarnama was signed by Sheikh Mubarak, जो Abul Fazal और Abul Fazal Faizi के father थे, and this declaration was signed by a number of Muslim theologians in Akbar's court, and it was also signed by Makhdoom ul-Mulk and even Abdul Nabi, both of who were very critical towards Akbar's religious policy and his tolerance.
तो महजरनामा में ये था कि जो रैंक ऑफ द जस्ट किंग, और ही वाज आल्सो नोन एज अमीरुल मोमिनिन, टू बी दैट ऑफ इमाम आदम. तो इसमें ये था कि अकबर को ये पोजीशन दी गई थी दैट ही बिकेम अ सुप्रीम इंटरप्रेटर ऑफ द इस्लामिक लॉ. व्हेनेवर इवन एक्चुअली इस्लामिक लॉ इवन हायर दैन ऑफ दैट ऑफ मुश्ताहिद, कि जब भी कॉन्फ्लिक्टिंग व्यूज़ होंगे मुश्ताहिद्स के बीच में, एंड दैट वुड बी अकॉर्डिंग टू द शारा, Akbar had the right to choose one of the views, and obviously it will be according to the Islamic law, and his decision is going to be the final and binding. इससे क्या होगा कि Akbar he had the capacity that he would be able to release any order, especially when it comes to his subjects, but for obvious reasons they will be according to the Quran or the Shara.
विंसेंट स्मिथ ने यहाँ पे भी अपनी विशेष टिप्पणी दी है, एंड ही मिस इंटरप्रेट्स दिस महजरनामा एज द इनफैलिबिलिटी डिग्री. Some others have also misinterpreted this as a declaration of rights. They misinterpreted this Mehzarnama to mean that Akbar had taken on the role of the temporal head as well as the spiritual head of his subjects, something akin to the prophet, and that he had combined the powers of the king and the pope. So they added those thoughts onto Akbar, but that was not true, and it was not based on facts. Now, the Mazharnama did not in itself give any additional or original power to Akbar. What it did was to give Akbar power as a Muslim king to decide between conflicting views of the Mujtahids on which is more in accordance to the Hadith. So basically Akbar could not make up new things. If he was presented with two conflicting views, he had to choose on one of them, and if neither of them were acceptable, he had to still form a view in accordance to the Quran and the Hadiths, and something that would benefit his people. Historian Iqtidar Alam Khan कहते हैं कि with the Mazharnama, Akbar wanted to present himself as some sort of a head among the Indian Muslims, and this status was allowed to him by the ulama. But even so, after the failure of Mazharnama, he came up with a new policy of kingship that included the entirety of his subjects, regardless of their beliefs and religions and practices.
The debates in the Ibadat Khana, they were not very fruitful because kahin na kahin people representing their religious sect, they would try to denounce the other person's religion, and there was a environment of bitterness. So in 1582 Akbar discontinued with the discussions at Ibadat Khana, but his quest to understand religion and philosophy surrounding religion, it was never ending. जो इबादत खाना में डिस्कशंस हुई थी उससे अकबर को ये तो पता चल गया कि दो पीपल बिलोंग टू डिफरेंट फेथ्स एंड डिफरेंट रिलीजन, डिफरेंट सेक्ट्स एंड क्रीड्स, बट उन सब में उनकी एक अच्छी क्वालिटीज़ भी थी, और अगर इन क्वालिटीज़ के ऊपर ध्यान दिया जाए तो कंट्री के अंदर हार्मनी और यूनिटी रहने से कोई रोक नहीं सकता, and that would lead to a country that he had, or the empire that he always had wished for or he had thought of. Further, Akbar believed that though there were multiplicity of names and forms of God, but there is only one God. बदाऊनी तो इतना तक कह देते हैं कि Akbar had denounced Islam and he wanted to set up a new religion that composed of people coming from various religious backgrounds, whether Christianity, Hinduism, Zoroastrianism, and he exaggerates because even modern historians, they believe that Badauni had crossed the line and he had just completely exaggerated, and that Akbar had promulgated a new religion, which is not true. And for this, that Akbar had actually formed new religion, तो बदाऊनी और अबुल फजल उस चीज़ को जो नाम देते हैं वो है तौहीद इलाही और डिवाइन मोनोथियज्म. चार्जेस लगाए गए थे अकबर पर, especially by the Jesuit priest who came to the court of Akbar from Goa, and even by Badauni, that he had given up Islam. In fact, priest Montserrat, who was present in the court of Akbar, he says that Akbar wanted that people should look at him as some form of a prophet, and that he had some miraculous powers in him, that अगर कोई उनके पाँव से धोया हुआ पानी को पी ले तो वो ठीक हो जाएंगे. These are very baseless allegations against Akbar, and because the allegation baseless थे, modern historians and scholars बोलते हैं कि इसका कोई we don't have any evidence about दीन इलाही और तौहीद इलाही कि whether this was a religion, because ना तो कोई priesthood है, ना कोई किताब है, ना कोई ritual है, and we don't even know when it was established. It could be something else and not a religion. अकबर जो रिलीजन के बारे में सोचते हैं उसको लेके अबुल फजल ने उनके दो जो कोट्स हैं वो कोट किए. By guidance is meant indication of the road, not the gathering together of disciples. इसका ये मतलब है कि आप एक इंसान को एक रिलीजन या एक फेथ के पाथ में गाइड कर सकते हैं, बट कि उनको इकट्ठा करना और ख़ुद एक प्रीचर बन जाना, जैसे आज ढोंगी कुछ लोग जो होते हैं जो करते हैं, वो चीज़ गलत है.
इसी थॉट पे एक और कोट है, टू मेक अ डिसाइपल इज टू इंस्ट्रक्ट हिम इन द सर्विस ऑफ गॉड, नॉट टू मेक हिम ए पर्सनल अटेंडेंट. तो द थॉट प्रोसेस इज समवट सिमिलर कि इफ यू वांट टू गाइड समबडी, यू हैव टू गाइड देम, नॉट कलेक्ट देम एज इफ दे आर योर अटेंडेंट्स.
एंड सर्विस टू गॉड, दैट डजंट मीन कि आप उनके सेवक बन गए. यू कैन बी अ सर्विस टुवर्ड्स गॉड बाय डूइंग गुड डीड्स इन लाइफ, बाय डूइंग गुड things in life,
by
thinking good thoughts, by helping others.
These two quotes more or less give us an idea about the thought process of Akbar, what he wanted to achieve, what he believed to be the correct way to do things. In opposition to this are the four principles of what is misunderstood to be the four principles of Deen-e-Ilahi, which was first quoted by Badauni. Now, according to Badauni, who makes this claim around 1580, for him, the Deen-e-Ilahi consisted of these 4 degrees, and these were the readiness to sacrifice to the emperor one's property, life, religion, and honor. So somebody who sacrificed one of the 4 had 1 degree, and somebody who sacrificed all 4 had 4 degrees. And Badauni misunderstood this to be a concept of Deen-e-Ilahi. But even so, modern scholars have refuted the claim of Badauni by suggesting that when one were to give up their religion, one was giving up the irrationality that was involved with that religion. So you were still practicing your religion, you were just discarding dated views and thoughts and things that would not benefit in Akbar's promulgation of a universal brotherhood. So for his nobles, for his trusted advisors to give up their irrational notions or their dated notions and beliefs, regardless of whether they were Hindus or Muslims or from any other religion, that would propagate Akbar's belief of Sulekul or universal brotherhood. And this was very important to somehow strengthen his theory of nationhood as well. And why was he particularly interested in his nobles and advisors to partake in this? Was because it was through them that the idea would then spread throughout his nation. So if his advisors were getting rid of unnecessary beliefs and propagating universal brotherhood, that is the idea that he would take to his mansab or his land, and then through him it would be spread to his land, and then so on and so forth with every noble that was there in his court. Now Akbar particularly did not want to involve the ulama at all, because by this time he was completely disillusioned by their just their fanaticism and one-mindedness and illogical thinking. Yeah. And he that had no place in his theory of nationhood, in his Sulekul, in his theory of Sulekul. Now Akbar पे heresy का भी charge लगा था, and this is a very serious case to be declared a heretic by the religious class, and this is refuted by modern scholars like Satish Chandra and R.P. Tripathi and even Nurul Hasan, who suggest that Akbar did not give up his own religion, even though he was talking about universal brotherhood. That was just he just included it as a part of his outlook. Now, the charge of Akbar giving up Islam is only made by Badauni and nowhere else in history. And Badauni has been known to be overly critical of Akbar and sometimes even pointlessly critical of Akbar. Now, it is true that the cause of Islam did suffer. That is because there was no state patronage to the Islamic State as such, and because Akbar himself was not patronizing the ulama as such, his nobles were also not doing that because they would want to please the emperor. So the cause of Islam overall may have suffered, but that does not point towards Akbar stopping his practice as a Muslim. It is also true that the Islamic theologians faced a greater burden because prior to Akbar coming to power, they received a lot of state patronage, they received a lot of power, and through either mosques or madrasas, and constant donations were being made. But after Akbar came to power, the donations were divided among everybody. So not just the Muslim religious class, but also the Hindu class, the Christian class, and so on and so forth. And that is something that maybe left a bitter taste among the ulama, and that is why a lot of these charges came to be known, although they were generally baseless. Now, this is true in case of monarchy, regardless of the location of the place. But if the emperor or the king patronizes something, the nobles will also be patronizing the same thing to get in favor of the king. And if something falls out of the favor of the emperor, the nobles would also follow suit. And that is also something that we see in the case of the ulama, because Akbar was so utterly done by them, his nobles also followed his example, and their patronage was also then divided amongst all religious classes and not just the ulama, and that is something that contributed to this bitterness of the ulama.
होता है ना कि when आप emperor के good books में रहने के लिए you will follow what he is following,
exactly,
policies that he is implementing, you will follow that, and that somewhere affected the ulema, and for obvious reasons कि ulema or the mullahs were getting affected क्योंकि जब एक sect is getting affected materialistically and they were not getting charities the way they used to get. They were the sole sect who were getting charities before, and now it's been distributed amongst various sects and various traditions. So obviously they will get affected. Madrasas कहीं बंद हो गए थे, तो that is why they had so much amount of anger against Akbar. तौहीद-ए-इलाही और दीन-ए-इलाही was not a monument of Akbar's folly, as Vincent Smith claims, but it was a political device. क्योंकि अकबर जो थे वो एक नया स्टेट चाहते थे, एक नई नेशन स्टेट चाहते थे, एक नई एम्पायर चाहते थे, तो वो चाहते थे वो लोग फॉलो करें, एंड जहाँ रिलीजियस एनिमिटी ना हो एंड दे वुड बी मोर प्रॉस्परस, पीस एंड हार्मनी हो. ये चीज़ जो है वो ये चीज़ ना तो जेस्यूट प्रीस्ट समझ पाए और ना ही जो स्टॉन्च मुल्लाज लाइक बदाऊनी समझ पाए. By projecting तौहीद-ए-इलाही और दीन-ए-इलाही as a religious device, कहीं ना कहीं बदाऊनी और जो जेस्यूट प्रीस्ट थे उन्होंने पूरा ध्यान उस जगह से हटा दिया जिस जगह को हासिल करने के लिए अकबर ने बहुत ही मेहनत की थी. टू हैव a place where the justice prevailed, liberalism prevailed, and even treatment of faiths, equal treatment of all faiths. तो कहीं ना कहीं बदाऊनी और जो line historians like Vincent Smith and the priests were really wrong. फिर 1580s में क्या हुआ? अकबर adopted the policy of सुलह कुल. सुलह कुल meant peace, universal peace and brotherhood. Akbar's religious ideology or liberalism, I would like to say, was not passive but he practiced it. तो उन्होंने एक ब्यूरो की तामील की और उसमें ये था कि जितने भी वर्क्स थे, संस्कृत वर्क्स थे, अरबिक वर्क्स थे, Greek works, they were translated into Persian. Atharvaved was translated into Persian. Gita was translated. Ramayana, Mahabharata in the form of Razumnama, Hamzanama, and Singhasan Batisi, they all were translated into Persian to have a better understanding, and also that people should read and inquire their religion and not just blindly follow them. His criticism was not only limited to the ulema or towards Muslim theologians, he was also critical of the Hindu sects, leader of the Hindu sects, and he pointed out that sometimes they were discriminatory, they were just blindly following their religion, they were ignorant, they were not able to understand what their religion actually meant, what their texts were telling, and he questioned them. As we've told you कि 1580 से सुलह कुल की जो डिवाइस था, जो एक स्ट्रक्चर, जो एक ये एस्पेक्ट था, वो इंट्रोड्यूस किया गया था. तो इसमें ये क्या था? बिकॉज इट बिलीव इन यूनिवर्सल ब्रदरहुड एंड पीस. इट मेंट दैट पीपल, सब्जेक्ट्स, ऑल ऑफ देम, irrespective of their caste, their faith, their tradition, they were equal in the eyes of law. They were equal in the eyes of Akbar. So, and in this atmosphere, it didn't matter who the person, it didn't matter whether the person belonged to Islamic ideology or Hindu ideology. वो सब, when it comes to dispensing law, वो सब equal होंगे. Ironically, देखा जाए, this was the time when there was no as such democracy. This was the time where people were religiously persecuted. This was a time when people would world over actually people would put other person down on the basis of religion or would dominate another person if that person belonged to a different religion. तो उस टाइम पे ये थॉट जो आज के ज़माने में ज़्यादा अहमियत रखनी चाहिए इस थॉट को, उस ज़माने में इसकी बहुत इम्पोर्टेंस थी. तो इसका ये मतलब है कि अगर बादशाह मुसलमान भी है, वो अपने ही रिलीजन के इंसान को अहमियत नहीं देगा. वो अगर उनके जो भी हो, कोई भी हो, अगर वो गलत है, वो अगर उसने गलती की है, तो उसको भरपाई देनी पड़ेगी. अकबर का जो लिबरल एटीट्यूड था और जो ओपन माइंडेडनेस था, वो सिर्फ रिलीजन में नहीं, वो आप उनके आर्किटेक्चर में भी देख सकते हैं. व्हेन यू गो टू द मॉन्यूमेंट दैट ही हैज़ कंस्ट्रक्टेड, यू विल सी Hindu influences, you will see Jain influences, you will see Tantric influences. Also, जब से Tantric symbols have been used, especially to ward off evils. You will see गुजरात का influence, especially in फतेहपुर सीकरी. आप हर एक जगह का राजपूत influence हर जगह का एक इन्फ्लुएंस देखेंगे। रिस्ट्रिक्टेड नहीं थी, यू नो, इन उनकी जो आर्किटेक्चर भी था, आर्ट भी था, वो रिस्ट्रिक्टेड नहीं था। उनके कोर्ट में सिर्फ जेस्यूट प्रीस्ट नहीं थे, उनके कोर्ट में अपेरेंटली इवन जैन प्रीस्ट, ही वॉज फ्रॉम काठियावाड़ and his name was Hira Vijayasuri. He was also present in his court. People of different sects, Jesuit priests who came from Goa were also present. और ये भी कहा जाता है कि जो जहाँ हरमिंदर साहिब कंस्ट्रक्टेड है, जहाँ हमारा गोल्डन टेम्पल कंस्ट्रक्टेड है, उस लैंड को भी अकबर ने ही ग्रांट किया था एज इन द फॉर्म ऑफ मदद तमाश।
हमने अभी कंटेम्प्रेरी वर्ल्ड की भी बात की, हाउ इंटॉलरेंस वाज द नॉर्म इन अ वे, एंड दिस इज वेयर इट गेट्स इंपॉर्टेंट टू लुक एट अकबर विद ए कंटेम्प्रेरी लेंस। अब अगर आप अकबर को देखें तो ही इज़ प्रीचिंग टॉलरेंस, ही इज़ प्रीचिंग सेक्युलरिज्म, ही इज़ ट्राइंग टू strengthen his state, he is trying to include the different people from different backgrounds into his state. वहीं पे अगर आप यूरोप की तरफ देखेंगे तो that was a place of possibly the worst sort of discrimination at the time. This was a time when the Spanish Inquisition was taking place. There was the Catholics were persecuting not just Jews and Muslims but also Protestants, and that led to a lot of discord amongst the different European powers. In this, we are very fortunate to get a direct comparison between Akbar, who was the emperor of Mughal India, and with King Philip II, who was the king of Spain.
Now this person, King Philip II, was none other than but husband of Mary Tudor, and जिससे वो बड़ा एक फेमस टर्म आता है ब्लडी मैरी। मैरी ट्यूडर was the eldest child or daughter of Henry VIII, and she was also the stepsister of Elizabeth I, who was known as one of the greatest monarchs of England.
Coming back towards Akbar, coming back to Akbar and Philippe. Now both of them had a lot of similarities between the two. Both ascended their thrones in 1556, which is a very eerie similarity. Both inherited vast empires. While Akbar inherited the Mughal throne from his father Humayun, King Philip also inherited vast territories that included modern-day Spain, Netherlands, and parts of Italy. Now, since they are governing over such vast lands, the people of these lands are also pretty diverse. And both of them were, huge patrons of art, and they were also both very religious. But this is where their similarity more or less ends. Now we understand through our own history how India is a very diverse land. Not only are there differences in beliefs and practices, but also languages and customs, and the culture in all just varies every 20 or so kilometers. So that was also true during the Mughal era, and Akbar was very aware of this diversity, and it was paramount for him to include this diversity within his state policy. So even if Islam was the state religion, he did not want to be bound by that. He wanted to be an emperor of all people, not just of the Muslims under his empire. And Akbar is a prime example of practicing what you preach. So not only did he preach tolerance and secularism and oneness, he also practiced it in his day-to-day life. If on the one hand we see Akbar actively accepting the diversity of the land, even going as far as commending the bravery of his Hindu adversaries, the Rajputs in particular, even forming alliances through marriage with the Rajputs, we see King Philip in a complete different light. Now, King Philip was a Catholic, and this is something that he had the backing of the church as well. Now, King Philip also governed over a diverse land, and by extension a diverse range of subjects. They practiced a variety of religions, so not just Catholicism or Catholic Christianity, but also Protestantism, and even Jews and Muslims were a part of his population. Now, jahan pe Akbar was trying to create a dialogue between the different populations in his empire, King Philip chose to spearhead the cause of Catholicism,
Yeah.
and he even drove the Spanish Inquisition in Spain, which was a terrible thing in history. It's not something that he started, but he took it to new heights. And in this, King Philip had the backing of the Catholic Church, and even made it and he made the Catholic Church a very important arm of his empire. And this created its own problems, and we see in Spain there was the rebellion of the Moriscos in 1568, and also in the Netherlands when the public had converted to Protestantism. King Philip sent an army to wage a war against them, and this is something that kept erupting over the time, never giving him any peace. वहीं उल्टे हाथ में आप अकबर को देखते हैं, who was criticized heavily by the ulama, but he was loved by his public. और इसका डिफरेंस हम इसमें देखते हैं कि जब एक तरफ किंग फिलिप was constantly engaged in wars, either directly or indirectly, even trying to attempt a war with Britain, against whom he incurred heavy losses. वहाँ पे ही अकबर was also a very skilled military man, but he would only wage wars where it was necessary and where it would benefit the empire. And this can be seen when he left a full treasury and a stable empire to his successors, whereas King Philip had to file for bankruptcy almost 4 times during his long reign.
जस्ट लाइक किंग फिलिप, अकबर भी ऑर्थोडॉक्सी से सराउंडेड थे, बट उन्होंने उस चीज़ को चूज़ नहीं किया. ही वाज सक्सेसफुल इन एस्टैब्लिशिंग एन एम्पायर which was based or had a foundation of peace and brotherhood. And उन्होंने ये चीज़ हासिल की जहाँ पे जो लोग हैं the population was heterogeneous, to live together in a very peaceful way. Like how Professor Athar Ali also suggests कि Akbar had a very receptive mind. He had a mind which believed in inquiry, and it was a very sharp mind. कि उनको जो वो perceive किया, special religion, जब वो various religions, when he discussed with people of belonging to various sects in the ibadat khana, he perceived the good qualities, and और उसी पे उन्होंने अमल किया, and he gave an ideology, and he gave an ideology that believed in brotherhood, in unity, in harmony, and he opened his doors to various religions. He opened his doors to various customs, and kind of alienated with the sect that were not agreeing with him, that were not agreeing to his rationality. Rather, they were being very irrational, and even because of this, his ruling class became very integrated. His ruling class became a heterogeneous sect. People who were, especially जो nobility थी, सिर्फ सुन्नी, शियास, तुरानी, ईरानी, the Indian Muslim जो prevailing थे पहले, और हिंदू राजपूत्स भी आए. एक मिक्सचर हो गया, एक क्या कहते हैं ना कि एक थाली होती है आपकी खाने की, और उसमें काफ़ी डिफरेंट वैरायटी ऑफ फूड होते हैं. कुछ मीठा होता है, कुछ खट्टा होता है, कुछ तीखा होता है. तो वैसे ही ही वांटेड हिज एम्पायर, हिज कंट्री टू बी कि डिफरेंट sections हो, different multiplicity हो, different customs हो. That would what make his empire very successful. But उस successful empire के लिए what he believed was peace and brotherhood. जब हम आज का दौर देखते हैं कि कैसे a country like ours has foundations based on democracy or secularism, on brotherhood
and peace,
republic. It's a republic. जब आज के दौर में हम ये चीज़ नहीं समझ पाते, और स्पेशली लीडर्स नहीं समझ पाते, the only thing that we can wish is for that, I hope that they learn something from Akbar's religious policies. That's all for today. I really hope that you have liked today's episode. Like, share and subscribe, and keep watching Tariq.